What's up guys, BeatsbyHcien here. In case it is your first time and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a step-by-step guide on how to make Amapiano Afro beats. And I hope at the end of this video, you just don't only use whatever I'm going to be showing you guys to make Amapiano, but also making beats in general. Without wasting time, let's get straight into the video. So yeah, when you're making Amapiano beat, the first thing you want to set is your BPM. And most Afropiano music, they start from 113 above. And in this case, I'm making use of the 115 BPM just to get that little mid-range vibey and a little bit calm, but still like danceable groove, because yeah, it's very important. So after doing that, the next thing you want to do is to decide if you want to start with a drum loop or if you want to start with a melody. Most cases you're going to be starting with drum loops. In most cases, based on my own experience, I've always started with drum loops and then I built from there. Yeah, the essence of doing that is because Amapiano music in general is all about grooves, and if you're making some Amapiano soul, you can also, play some chords and all that. And just a little bit of information, most times you want to be using some nice percussion loops or drum loops, so you want to also invest in your sample packs. Trust me, most of these top guys you see, you start most of their beats, Amapiano beats, with some nice percussive loop. So in this case, I started mine with this particular loop, which sounds just like this. Yeah, after you've decided to start with a groove, you want to make sure that whatever drum loop or percussion loop you are using has the kind of groove you're going for. So I use that. The next thing I always do most of this time is to play like the normal sonar sound, underneath, just to give it the kind of tension that something is about to happen. So yeah, for the intro, so it sounds like this. And when that is playing, I make sure I put in a little bit of riser, You always have to have it in mind that whenever you also start playing down those sonar, you've decided the key you want to play on, you want to make the song be on. But sometimes I don't really think of the key. I just play the signature sound that helps me figure out, okay, this is the key that I want to play on in most cases. So that's the next thing I want to do. I want to add in a signature sound so that whenever this beat is played anywhere in the club, without even hearing the drums alone, you already know that, oh, this is the song that's about to come. And if you've been following my videos, I always use Monopoly and Poly6 to make my Amapiano, and I've always advised you guys to go get it. So yeah, in this case, I'm making use of this sound from Monopoly, which is the sub-synth and chattering machine, and I'm just using some automation, to build up the tension as well. Making Amapiano beat, you want to work with automation. If you've been watching my videos, I've always say that. And yeah, this is what the sound itself sounds like. So after playing that, in the intro part of the song, I did a little bit of automation, so the sound is like introduced. So let me play so you get to hear what it sounds like. So yeah, as you can see around that side, there's a build up there. So now once you've decided, you've gotten your drum loops that you want to use, a nice groove, you've gotten the signature sound that you've used. So now you want to decide what kind of Amapiano do you want to make. Do you want to make the soul type where there's chords, or you want to make the normal one that is just vibey? And in this case, I'm just making the normal one that is just vibey. And I always bring in a bass and the signature sound in the verse. Depends on the kind of bass groove that suits whatever signature sound that you've played. And in this case, this is what I've played. There's no artist singing on it yet, but yeah, I just had to do that. And in this situation, I'm also using Monopoly, and I'm using the bass being for this particular sound. So you see how important Monopoly is for me using Ableton, and I don't really have this FL stock plugin. So yeah, even if you have stock plugins, just trying to get Monopoly and Poly 6. Trust me, guys, they're really, really nice as well. And when I do that for the first 8 bars, I also try to like create a little bit of, you know, atmosphere with some ear candies. Very important. So it makes the beat exciting. So in this case, I added an ear candy sound. I automated the volume as well. Yeah, so you see, I've gotten my drum loop, I've gotten my sound. I'm starting to, you know, build and arrange the beat. You understand what I'm saying? So when I'm making Amapiano, most of the time, I don't do it on 8 bars. Like I move along the line just to get the vibe and the feel. Because when I always try to make it on 8 bar, I don't really get that vibe. So you can take that as a tip as well. You know, once you're making Amapiano, keep moving like every 8 bars. You know, when you make the first 8 bar, move to the next plate, which is going to be the verse, make it move to the next plate, depending on how you want to arrange it. In most cases for me, when I'm making Amapiano, I put a verse, I put a pre-hook, then I bring up the drum, the dub. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here, because this is like the first verse, and I'm always putting in some risers as well, like every 8 bars, just to introduce the next phase of the beat. So you can do that as well. So moving on, I always advise you guys that every 8 bars, try to also introduce a new sound. Try to always introduce a new sound, as this will also help to make the whole beat more interesting and exciting. So in this case, the next 8 bars, I added a sound from Monopoly, which is the synth soft, and it's a Moonlight, and it sounded just like this. So together is what we get. So after moving on, I'm about to hit to the next phase where the chorus comes in. So what I do is to add in more sounds to make it more interesting. And in this case, I added these vocal chants right here from Splice. Okay, hear what the sound sounds like. So after doing that, I added another sound, a normal pom-pom sound. I always add it like after the first 8 bars of the verse. Added a little bit of snare, you know, just to make them know that, okay, something is about to hit. Added a few. So if you've been following, when you're making Amapiano or beats in general, the first thing you want to do is to, you know, get the BPM. The BPM helps you to know what kind of, you know, feeling do you want. Do you want a chilled feeling? Do you want a fast feel chill feeling? Do you want an upbeat tempo feeling? And in the case of Amapiano, the BPM is like 113 for maybe 15, 115, 120. So I'm going to put in some, you know, BPM for different genres so that you can, you know, get the feel of what you want. So yeah, after you've gotten the BPM, the next thing you want to do, like I said, is to decide, do you want to start with the drums or start with the melody? So in most cases, you want to start with the drums or percussive loop if you're making Amapiano. In some cases, you want to start with the guitar loops and all of those stuff if you want to make some nice Afro beats, okay? So after you've done that, you want to make sure you now try to get a signature sound. It could be a melody in your chord progression. It could be whatever, just a signature sound. This helps the listeners wherever your song is being played, even without the drums being played. They're like, oh yes, I know this song, I remember this song, I know what it sounds like. They start to hum it. So that's the next thing you want to do. And like I said, if you're making Afrobeat, you can, you know, make an 8-bar loop and start arranging. But in most cases, when I'm making Amapiano beats, I always always 90% of the time start making the beat. I move every 8/8 bar, start with what the intro sounds like, because I already know that okay, most Amapiano songs always start with a percussion just itself with a little bit of action sound, maybe like a sonar sound or view or an oscillator sound, just something below. Then after the first 8 bars, there's a riser that leads it either to the verse, or maybe you still want to introduce more intros to the song. You get what I'm saying? So when I'm making Amapiano beats, I'm moving like every 8/8 bars, trying to build up. Then when I'm done, I can now sit back and now start adding more things in each individual 8 bars. See them as different buildings, and just start to furnish them. Do you get? So what I mean by that, let me show you what I'm explaining to you guys. So you see I've made this. I'm about to go to the drop now. I just want to explain so that you understand more, so that this video is not just watched but well explained. So I'm just making sure I'm going like every 8/8 bars when I'm making this. So you see I started with this particular sounds here and I was cool with it. The next thing I did was to move on to the next 8 bars, which I know this is where the verse is going to come in. Then I added a bass, added a riser, added other things. When I was done, I moved on into this next phase, because I knew that okay, this is going to be the pre-chorus, and I added more things that are going to be needed with a riser that's going to lead to a drop. And 8 out of 10 times that I'm trying to lead into a drop, I always leave like a break, just to break it a bit before the drops comes in. It gives it a more feel, it gives it more change. So just based on my own opinion and based on what I've been hearing, so that's why I always do that. So moving on, the next thing I do, as you can hear here, is log drums. For my drop, what I always do when I'm trying to make my drop, right, I play down my signature sound, then I play my drum loops, then I first of all play my log drums as a normal bass, bass groove. And this was the first one I had. So after I did that, the next thing I also did, if you've been following, I always try to layer my log drum with a nice synth bass, and I'm using Monopoly for this particular one, and it is just the category bass, low kick bass, just to make the low end of the log drum bounce. And I'm just copying this, bringing it down here, and so after doing that, the next thing I do is another log drum that I now use to add a little bit of more effects that I want. So most of the time when I'm making my log drums for Amapiano, like I've explained that continuously, even recently in a video, I use mostly 3 bass most of the time. The first log drum that I'm using, I play it at the bass just to get a groove of what I want. So the idea is to first of all play it as a groove. Don't worry about all the holes, and all those things. Just play the groove you want to get first of all, and you can always open the piano roll. Do you get? And start building. This that you see here takes a lot of time, but it looks like so nice, right? The first thing is to play the bass. All this you see that are broken into different chords. They were all one straight line like this. Like all these things, they were all one straight line. So I play them like I was playing the normal bass to get groove. Then I open the piano roll and start chopping places that I want to chop to give the normal Amapiano vibe. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's it. So you don't have to really stress yourself that much. Then the second bass I always add is a sub bass, that I'm just using that to make sure that the normal log drum gets the low end feel. So that's the second log drum I add. Then the third one I add most of the time is just to give effects. So you can also use these for Afro beats, but just play your first groove, then you play your normal groove you want to play, then you can go into your piano roll and spice things up. But you don't need like 3 different basses unless you're playing a different bass for your verse, a different bass for your chorus, and a different bass for your pre-chorus. Just trying to make sure that when you watch the video, you can also use 1 or 2 things for Afrobeats and beats in general, like I said in the intro. So yeah, this one is, you can notice here, I'm using this particular one. You see, it's not coming like in every place, it just comes in few places. And And sometimes I can even put off this because I want to focus on the log drums. I want to focus on the bass if I'm making Afro beat. And I want to mute everything and make sure that my bass is giving me that feel that I want before I bring up every other sound. Most of the time, that's what I do. Then I added more, hi-hat, because this is the drop. So you want to add more things to spice it up. And there's no crime in using percussion loops. That's the essence. That's the reason why you purchase them. And that's the reason why people make them. So don't let anybody tell you you are using loop, you are cheating and all that. No, it's not cheating because people make them. People create it for you to use. It's like you're collaborating with another artist. So don't ever see that as a taboo, okay? Because I use it most of the time. As long as I'm being creative with it, you get so. So you can see I start adding more sound just to give it that more groove. So after doing that, the next phase that you can see now is after the first 4 bars of the first drop, the second bars I add more sound, more excitement, which is just this one also around there. And I always also introduce back the normal bass for the verse. And yeah, the second part of the log drum, most of the times I always want to change it so it's not sounding boring and static. Okay, so the second part, you want to make it more exciting. So you can see the second part what I played. And if you're watching my videos, I always like to do the water drop effect for my log drums. So yeah, I think that's basically how I did it. And the next thing I did after doing this is just, copy all of these, duplicate it to the next phase. And most of the time when I am rearranging, when I'm arranging my verse too, this is a trick that you can use. I don't necessarily play new things. Do you get? What I can just do is just maybe take 1 or 2 sounds that I played in the chorus, and I can just bring one of them to this other side. The first 8 bars, the next bar I can just collect another sound from the chorus and add it to the next bar, just separate it a bit. Like you can see around there, I brought in this sound from here, I put it here. I brought in this sound from here, I put it here. I brought in this sound from here and I put it here. So I'm not like playing new things, but if I want to, I can add. I'm just trying to make it simple. So you can use this trick as well. Whatever you played in your chorus that you feel is not in your verse, just to make it the verse 2 unique and different, you can just pick some of them from the chorus and put it in the verse. And this is what the second verse sounded like to make it different from the verse 1. And that's basically how I made this Amapiano and how you can go about making Amapiano beats. Yeah, I hope so. I hope you learn one or two things from this video. I hope I was able to explain my thought process and steps on how I make this. If you feel like I didn't explain it enough, you can just drop a comment below and I'll try to see how I can help out or make more videos just to, you know, make it sound make you learn more, I guess. So I think with this video, I didn't want it to be too long, so I hope with this little thing I've said and advised to you, you'll be able to, like, you know, try to use these, you know, make more videos to step and guides and help you guys so that you can, you know, get better. But yeah, but for now, this is what I have for you guys. So yeah, make sure you use this in your beats today, and yeah, join the Telegram group if you haven't joined it, because I'm dropping on dope stuff there soon. And yeah, without wasting much of your time, until I catch you guys in the next video, remember to always stay productive. Peace.